Bigger doesn't always mean better, but vast size often makes things more impressive. When it comes to methods of transport, things don't get much bigger than the largest boats in the world. The world's shipping industry has been responsible for building vessels so enormous that the fact that they're able to float at all almost seems to defy logic. And we've gathered some facts about the most impressive large ships in the world for you to see in this video. When the first TI-class supertankers were built in 2002, they were the first new ultra-large crude carriers to be built in a quarter of a century. Thus far, only 4 of them have been launched: the TI Oceania, the TI Asia, the TI Europe, and the TI Africa. Based on gross tonnage alone, the only ship in the world that can claim to be larger than these 4 Leviathans is the pioneering Spirit, which you'll hear more about later on. The 4 ships were built for the Hellespont Group and are still in service as oil tankers after almost 20 years on the waves. Each of them cost approximately $90 million to build and required a combination total of 700,000 hours of direct labor each. They're so large that they're too wide to pass through the locks of the Panama Canal, and they're unable to travel down the Suez Canal unless they're on a ballast voyage. Considering they have a deadweight tonnage of over 440,000 tons each, that isn't really surprising. The only country in the world that builds nuclear-powered icebreakers is Russia, and so not only has no other country got a ship that's equivalent to the Yamal, no other country owns anything that looks and functions even remotely like it. The Yamal is technically known as an Arktika-class vessel and survived the collapse of the Soviet Union. Most expensive projects were canceled when the old USSR collapsed, but despite being laid down in 1986, construction work on the Yamal continued, leading to its commissioning in 1992. The main purpose is to keep important shipping lanes open, although it's also been used to carry passengers all the way to the exact point of the North Pole. You couldn't sail the Yamal through the warm water even if you wanted to. It relies on being in cold water in order to keep its nuclear reactor cool. Despite having such a dangerous job, it has plenty of luxuries on board, including a heated swimming pool, a volleyball court, an auditorium, a library, and a well-fitted-out gymnasium. So far, it's been to the North Pole 47 times since its launch and is expected to remain in use for several years yet. The Shinyo Sawako is a Chinese vessel that made headlines around the world when it was involved in a collision with another ship in April 2008. Any ship that collided with this super freighter was always likely to come off the worst in such an incident. Built by the Hitachi Shipbuilding and Engineering Company of Osaka in 1995, the Shinyo Sawako was 1,000 feet long and almost 180 feet wide. The other vessel involved in the crash was a fishing vessel called Lurangayu 2177. It sustained serious damage when the 2 vessels came together and ultimately sank below the waves. But the Shinyo Sawako suffered barely a scratch. Dramatic photographs of the collision went viral all over the internet, and so some of these images may appear a little familiar to you. Although there was an investigation, it was eventually decided that the captain and crew of the Shinyo Sawako weren't at fault, and so the massive freighter was allowed to return to its normal duties. It's now permanently based in Hong Kong. The next gigantic ship is a peek into the near future of maritime luxury. Royal Caribbean is already known and respected all over the world as one of the finest cruise liner companies in the world. But they've surpassed their own high standards with this brand new ship, which is fittingly called the Wonder of the Seas. Assuming all goes to plan, the ship will launch next year, in 2021. It will be the 5th Oasis-class cruise liner built by the company and will begin life in Shanghai as the first Royal Caribbean vessel to sail the Asia-Pacific. Although there are 4 other ships belonging to the same class, the Wonder of the Seas will be the largest of all of them, and at the same time, it will become the largest cruise ship on the planet. there's a lot more to it than sheer size. It will also offer a zip line from the top of the ship to the bottom deck, a water park, theater shows worthy of London's West End, and even bars where the bartenders are robots. If the weather holds up, passengers can even enjoy the latest movies on deck in an outdoor cinema. We promised that we would come back to the pioneering spirit, and so here we are. This is the world's biggest vessel, measured by gross tonnage, coming in at over 400,000 tons and creating over 1 million tons of displacement when fully laden. Pioneering Spirit is 1,250 feet long, 400 feet wide, 100 feet tall, and has a 407-foot beam. A ship this huge would have to be made with a specific purpose in mind, and it was. Pioneering Spirit is capable of removing oil and gas platforms with a single lift and installing them the same way. It can also be adapted to install heavy pipelines. The ship is of Swiss design, having been dreamed up by the All Seas Group and then built by the Daewoo Shipbuilding and Engineering Company in South Korea, for a total cost of over $2.5 billion. Construction work on this behemoth of a vessel began in 2011, with the ship launched in January 2013. As enormous as she is, she'll soon lose her title. All Seas is hard at work on an even bigger ship, provisionally named All Seas Amazing Grace. If everything happens on time, they should be ready to deliver it in 2022. We've already seen one enormous Royal Caribbean ship, but here is another one of their most impressive seafaring vehicles. This is Spectrum of the Seas, the very first Quantum Ultra-class cruise liner. She's a recent addition to the company's fleet. The ship was laid down in November 2017 and launched in April 2019, officially registered in the Bahamas. Shanghai is her base of operation, from where she offers cruises to several East Asian destinations throughout the year. Passengers with the budget to pay for one of the vessel's luxury rooms can enjoy an ultimate family suite, which features a slide, a cinema, and a karaoke stage. Also contained within a giant frame of 18 deck, the 1,140-foot-long ship is 5 restaurants, 5 bars, a music hall, arenas for archery and fencing, and an on-deck surf simulator. There are even versions of popular television game shows to play. Passengers on the Spectrum of the Seas certainly never get bored. The real question is whether it's possible to sample all of the entertainment in a single trip. If you're not familiar with the term Ro-Ro ship, it's a shortened version of roll-on, roll-off, meaning a ship that's designed to carry rolling cargo. Usually that means cars. Any ship designed to transport large quantities of cars will inevitably be large. But the biggest example of such a vessel sailing in the Mediterranean launched from Turkey in March 2019. The 750-foot-long ship, which is the property of Danish company DFDS, is called FES Seaways and has a capacity of 22,000 feet. It's expected to play a vital role in serving and transporting the company's goods and customs between Turkey and neighboring European Union countries. When fully laden, the FES Seaways can carry as many as 450 full-sized trucks at the same time, which makes it far more attractive than the majority of options available to logistics companies working in that area. While it's unique at the moment, FES Seaways is the first of what's expected to be 6 ships of the same class built to order for the company. You can buy almost any kind of vacation from Disney, and that includes vacations that happen aboard cruise ships. Disney currently owns and operates 4 cruise ships: the Disney Dream, Disney Magic, Disney Wonder, and this beautiful vessel, the Disney Fantasy, which launched in January 2012. It's thought that the total cost of building her was almost exactly $1 billion. For their money, Disney got a 1,115-foot-long, 140-foot-wide, 217-foot-tall luxury vessel with 16 decks, and all the elements required to make a vacation truly memorable. There are 1,250 passenger cabins aboard, and the pleasure seekers who stay in them can enjoy features like water coaster, Broadway-quality live shows featuring Disney characters, 3D movie screenings, and adults-only bars and nightclubs for parents seeking a break from the child-friendly entertainment. The highlight of a trip on Disney Fantasy, which sets off from Florida, is calling in at Disney's private island, Castaway Cay. Passages on the Disney Fantasy doesn't come cheaply, but it has to be considered one of the most impressive entertainment-focused ships on the planet. All of the ships you're seeing in today's video have their own unique claim to fame. When it comes to the Aurigata Leader, that claim to fame hasn't got anything to do with its size. It's still a big vessel, 650 feet long and 114 feet tall, but we've already seen much larger ships. What makes Aurigata Leader so special is that it's the world's first partially propelled cargo ship. There are more than 300 solar arrays fitted to the vessel, which at present give it around 10% of its operational power. Nippon Yusen Kaisha owns the ship and use it as a car carrier. It can be commissioned by any company to take and deliver cars anywhere in the world, with Mitsubishi known to be a regular customer. Nippon Oil worked together with Nippon Yusen Kaisha in the development of the ship, which launched in 2008 because they were curious about the potential for solar power when it comes to powering a ship in the middle of the ocean. Interestingly, tests have shown that the solar panels provide 1.4 times more power out at sea than one on land, a quirk that's been put down to sea wind cooling the panels down and making them more efficient. Container ships are large by design, but even in a land of giants, the MV Barzan stands out. Built in South Korea for the United Arab Shipping Company and launched in 2015. She's the first of a planned 6 ultra-large vessels capable of carrying 18,800 standard-issue shipping containers at the same time. Surprisingly, the shipyard responsible for building the Barzan managed to complete the whole ship within 6 months. Looking at the dimensions, she's 1,300 feet long and 192 feet wide, with a gross tonnage of just under 196,000. Her work can take her anywhere in the world, from North China to London Gateway, as part of the UASC AEC-1 Asia service route. The company that built her, Hyundai Heavy Industries, claimed that the Barzan has the lowest per container level of carbon emissions in any vessel capable of performing this type of work, much lower than the Maersk EEE class ships and 50% lower than the targets set by the International Maritime Organization for 2025. In other words, she's an environmentally friendly ship of the future. The OOCL Hongkong represents another way of doing the same job that the MV Barzan does. When she was delivered in 2017, she was the single largest container ship ever built, and only the third ever to have a capacity of more than 20,000 shipping containers. She's now one of a class of 5 similar ships known as the G-Class, but she was the first to be built. A typical voyage for this huge container vessel will see it set off from Shanghai and stop at Singapore, Felixstowe, Rotterdam, Gdansk, and Wilhelmshaven before setting back off towards Shanghai. A round trip that generally takes 77 days to complete. She's over 1,300 feet long and 106 feet tall, with a gross tonnage of 211,000. Unsurprisingly, a ship so huge doesn't move very quickly. Her top speed is 21 knots. Which is the equivalent of around 24 miles per hour. In practice, though, her cruising speed is a mere 14.6 knots. That's just under 18 miles per hour, and not much faster than the speed of an average human being sprinting. Back in 2017, MSC Cruises announced plans for new cruise liners that would blow all the other competition out of the water. Their new world-class ships will have space for more than 6,800 guests and will therefore qualify as the largest cruise ships in the world. 4 of the enormous vessels will be built, each one weighing a colossal 200,000 tons. The first is expected to be delivered close to the start of 2022. As you can see from these concept images, the world-class ships will look quite unlike the standard design of a cruise liner, with a Y-shaped structure allowing for panoramic views and larger balcony cabins. Somewhere within the 1,000-foot-long ships, there will be a family-friendly village, suitable for adults and children of all ages, with more adult-oriented entertainment available outside the perimeter of the village. For those who are brave enough, there will be a glass-bottom swimming pool that will allow passengers to see straight down beneath the boat and catch a glimpse of the marine life below them. MSC, a French company, says that their new ships will be the most modern and the most technologically advanced ever built. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and enjoy watching new videos on my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.